and welcome to a very special edition of the Songschool Show. My name's Peter Baxter, and today we'll be playing back a masterclass that was recorded recently live in the Cabin Barry Room of the National Concert Hall right here in Dublin. It featured two very special guests, Neil Hannon from the Divine Comedy and Paul Noonan from Bell X1. As well as being accomplished songwriters, they are both members of the inaugural artist writing space, which is located in the National Concert Hall. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Neil Hannon and Paul Noonan. So, I wanted to start off as very informal today, so we don't know where we're going, we just spoke about that outside, but we'll start here and see where we go. Okay. Can you tell us how you became songwriters?
I thought you were going to say, so the intro. How do you do an intro?
Well, that can be true, yes.
Okay.
Fledgling at the introduction stage, but how did you become a songwriter?
I will start because I'm older. How did I become a songwriter? I was a child, and then I watched people singing songs, primarily on Top of the Pops, and also my elder brothers had got records, and I listened to them, and I thought, that looks like a pretty cool job. And I was looking around for a potential career, and I thought, I'll give that a shot. But no, I sort of wrote my first offerings when I was about 12, 13, and they're very interesting. But, I always got to the end.
Yeah, very good.
I made 3-minute long songs, even if they were spectacularly awful.
Do they exist anywhere?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Locked in a vault. Yeah. And it was just a question of ignoring schoolwork, really, and getting on with, trying again and again and again, and gradually they got better. Yeah.
Very good. Paul,
I think I was later. I was more of a musician at various things before I actually wrote any songs. I started as a played recorder in the school band when I was 8 or 9, and then I progressed to a concert flautist, and then they brought a drummer in one day to the concert band, and I couldn't play while the drummer was playing. I thought it was the most exciting thing I'd ever heard, with live drums at the age of 10 or 11 or whatever. And I then became the sort of slowly became part of the percussion section of the orchestra. And I sort of was happy with my lot as a drummer, to be honest. And then through the band, through my first band, Juniper, we sort of encouraged each other to sort of swap instruments and learn the guitar, 3 chords, and sort of went from there. And that was at the age of maybe I was like 18 or 19.
Okay.
I think when I wrote my first songs, but I wasn't particularly confident at it, so it took a while to sort of build up the confidence to actually play them or perform them in any way. So I still sort of, in some ways, I'm a drummer who had ideas beyond the station.
Okay.
Well, what about the flute? Are you still playing?
I know, I sold my flute to buy a drum kit. It should be in the song.
Flute on your next album.
Today we're going to really focus on songwriting, and that's the element today. So, and there'll be a Q&A at the end, I should say, as well, by the way. So if you have any questions, by all means, be an opportunity to say hello and have a chat at the end. We talked about your brother's record collection. What sort of stuff would you been listening to? What were your early influences?
Primarily the Electric Light Orchestra, ELO. I was brainwashed with ELO from a young age, hence all the strings in my records and all the close harmonies, and the woos and stuff. It's funny, I think if you really are forced to listen to a certain type of music, then you can almost never escape it after that, if it was at a young, impressionable age.
Yeah.
So
have you come across it?
I've yet to meet him. My good friend and a comrade, Thomas Walsh, managed to blag his way into Jeff was being given the freedom of Birmingham, and he managed to get to meet his ultimate idol. And he hasn't stopped talking about it since. Anyway, what else was I with? I guess there was a lot of synth pop it was the period, you know, sort of 78 to 83 was my kind of golden era. And also, you know, Elvis Costello. And actually, I'm being selective because obviously I was a massive Nick Kershaw fan.
Okay.
You have to be honest, you know. And I bought, you know, Rapping by Roland Rat, so we all have skeletons in the closet. Yeah.
In the record collection,
Yeah.
yeah, very good. Paul, what about you?
Well, I have no older siblings, so I relied on sort of older brothers or friends. And Bruce Springsteen, Supertramp. I remember playing "It's Raining Again" by Supertramp on the kazoo, very annoyingly for a long time. And Talking Heads were definitely there from that period as well. I remember being, you know, as a like, I would have been very young, like 8 or 9 years old, and seeing just the physicality of David Byrne in those videos had an incredible appeal at that level, even at that age.
Yeah.
You know, it maybe some may say that the whole Talking Heads David Byrne thing seeped in a little too strongly.
We're all the sum of our influences.
Yeah. But it's funny
no,
when you
I mean,
say that you can't escape those very formative.
And why should you bother?
True.
Yeah. I remember vividly seeing, you know, letting the days go by. What's the name?
Once in a Lifetime.
Once in a Lifetime.
Yeah.
The video for that on Top of the Pops, you know, when I was 11, was just like, what is that? You know. But I was, you know, you kind of, there's a lot of music I think you're influenced by because you're scared of it. It's like it seems so other and exotic.
Yeah.
But that's good too, to be scared of things.
Yeah.
I think, you know.
And even instinctively that it had that effect at that age, and I've read a lot about that record since, and that they did with Brian Eno, like most of the songs are 2 chords.
Yeah.
You know, they were very unconventional in that sense, and so, if you get into analysing them at that level, it's another level of appreciation.
Yeah.
And their arrangements too. In fact, both of those, if you think about their arrangements, are quite complex but simple.
Yeah.
Particularly maybe with Talking Heads. Brilliant production.
The
Yeah.
best
well.
thing about that song is the bass line, which is like 1, 2, ba bum bum bum, ba bum bum bum, ba bum bum bum, all the way through the song. It's just brilliant. You know?
That's a fair point. What about current stuff? Are you listening to anything, or do you tend to stay away from current releases if you're writing yourself?
I do listen to.
Hello?
Hi. Some may say to my shame, I have a Deezer subscription, so I don't actually buy a whole lot of music anymore. I just
What's Deezer?
It's like Spotify, but it was here earlier.
No.
D-E-E-Z-E-R, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they pay us properly?
It's a bit of a unknown. of course.
Do we like them? Yeah.
But yeah, bands like Vampire Weekend, who I know you're a big fan of, I find it incredibly inventive from record to record. We grew to love the last record on that level. That there's a great. Often I find them really attracted to records that sound like they've found new toys, and there's an incredibly childish glee about them.
Okay.
They're having, just having great fun with these well-written songs, but then dressing them with something sort of special.
I think that's the problem these days is sort of nobody looks like they're quite having enough fun when they're making pop music. But it all seems terribly serious. You know, and obviously you can be serious about the task whilst enjoying it also.
Yeah, lots of angst. Maybe.
A lot of angst.
Yeah. Well, and tell me, when you're writing, do you have a particular schedule, technique, or a format that both would take forward? What would you do?
I tend to sort of take notes as things occur to me, usually on my phone. Even in the middle of the night, I would warble into my phone or write stuff on notes, and then come back to them and try to sort of piece songs together, even from a few fragments of different things that have.
Is that lyric or
lyrically? Yeah. Or
Yeah.
when I'm singing, there will be sort of like a riff in mind or a line to the tune of.
And would you find that you generally go to guitar then, or
Guitar or piano, yeah.
Yeah.
Guitar was sort of before piano, but the last Last record was pretty much written on piano.
Okay. What about you? Neil? Would you be similar?
We could swap, voice memos, because I do exactly the same.
See, I'll just check my current sticky.
That could be an interesting collaboration.
I'll have to turn it off. But yeah, I mean, I prefer notebooks.
Okay.
I have got a notebook.
You can do a little moleskin, are you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Only moleskins. In fact, this one is written. Sorry, we're getting off message a little bit, but it's music manuscript moleskin.
Oh wow.
But I just scroll all over it. No, I generally sort of put things on my phone, and if I hear sort of a phrase or read a phrase, or that kind of, I don't know. It's whether it sort of amuses me, or confuses me, or just sounds good. Write it down. And then a lot of my songs have been sort of all of the notes crammed together into one thing. It's like sweeping up all the extra stuff and sticking it all into one song. It really works. Yeah.
Would you start with the lyric first then, or would you generally?
It's both. I kind of write music independently of the lyrics.
Okay.
Little scraps of stuff. And then maybe the same day or maybe months later, I kind of read through my notebooks, and I think, oh, well, I might be able to attach to this tune or something like this. And then generally you kind of shoehorn the lyric in there and then start kind of trying to expand upon it once it's in the kind of, once you know the phrasing that you're going to use.
Would you say piano or guitar, or would you have an instrument you go to by default?
It's a bit of both, actually, yeah, just like Paul. I suppose in recent years it's been more piano, just because I started playing my shows just on my own on the piano, so I got much better at it, and that kind of led to more ideas on the piano.
And how as songwriters, and obviously with the success you've had, do you feel there's any influence, or is it hard to write subsequently from having success, or do you find that would influence what you're doing, or do you try and just put it away out of your mind?
We went through a phase of being very lucky with having radio hit singles, and I think it did. When we came to make the next record, there was a sort of unspoken criteria that should continue, and not that it affected the writing initially, but it definitely affected the song choices and this idea of sort of choosing, these are going to be the singles, so let's make them most single.
Okay.
And so that success did change the makeup of records in that sense. It's not necessarily a bad thing, I think, or it hasn't been.
No, I think one mustn't dismiss the chart sort of hit idea, even though there's almost no such thing as a chart hit anymore. You still, I think they're like hinges that records are built around almost, and they're usually not the best songs on a record, but they're just the ones that people might remember the tune of. And I've nothing against catchiness.
Sure.
In fact, I think it's something I strive for, because I want people to remember my songs. Call it ego, I don't know. Sure. I just want them to hum them as they're walking down the street. It's like, that's what songs are for, I think,
But you're talking about how music's changing, and it has. I think probably in the last 10 years there's been a phenomenal change in how music's consumed, and whether that be legally or illegally downloaded, and different attitudes towards such. The concept of maybe going and physically buying a CD even is changing. People don't necessarily do that. Have you any thoughts on how music might change?
Well, plenty, and none very positive. It's a tricky old marketplace out there. because people keep coming along and pinching the apples. To continue the marketplace metaphor. It's just, I think there's a problem in that people don't seem to value, or they don't recognize how things are made. You know, they don't understand that there's somebody at the end of the line whose livelihood depends on this, you know. And, you know, if musicians aren't paid properly, there's going to be less and less good music. I mean, there'll be plenty of music, but it'll get worse.
But specifically songwriters, though, let's say.
Yeah.
That songwriters have to be paid for their creativity and their efforts.
Well, I mean, if you're the songwriter in a band, you're automatically in a better position than the rest of the guys.
Okay.
But it's good. I mean, you know, I always wanted to play solo because I thought it'd be fun and I'd look like Noel Coward. But I was virtually forced into it in the end because of financial circumstances. You know, I really could not afford to take a whole band and sort of, you know, crew on the road. So, yeah, buy the records.
What about softball?
Music has definitely been devalued in that sense, that you can get anything for free if you want it.
Sure.
But I think the genie's out of the bottle and trying to sort of patch it,
Ram it back
all
in.
the time. it's pointless, I think. And you know, as Neil said, like it's harder and harder to tour. Everyone's touring far more. When we book tours in the States, there's this incredibly annoying process now where you have to book tours a year down the line, and loads of people have booked the same nights in the same venue, so you have to challenge them, and there's various levels of challenging slots, and you know, it becomes this matrix of madness. And you're putting tours together now. There's so much demand.
Luckily, they don't like me over there. So
how does it logistically to schedule a tour then? Because
yeah, they're pretty hard. Our agent does it, so God bless him.
But just on that concept of you're musicians, you get the best studio you can get. We were talking before, you're very interested in sounds. So you know as a musician you want your songs to sound the best they can. So you get a good engineer, a good producer, you get the song mastered, you put it out there, somebody rips a song from YouTube, it sounds nothing near sonically as good as what you have strived to be. That must be incredibly frustrating because people are listening to your music and judging it on a poor audio quality as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be there's that Neil Young thing that product that he's launched now.
That's right.
Have you heard about this?
No.
It's a new form of consuming music where you listen to it at 192 kilobits per second, which is like the high end of the sample rate.
okay.
And apparently it makes a world of a difference.
It's a special stereo, it's all kinds.
It's a physical thing that he's selling that then he's getting all his buddies to endorse. But
I'd have thought he wouldn't be that fussed about it.
yeah, I would have thought so too. Yeah, that he'd be all vinyl all the way.
Yeah.
And his hearing's gone, he said anyway.
Yeah.
Mightn't be the best joke, I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I think just buy vinyl because it always sounded better anyway, and you get a lovely thing. I mean, I really missed the thing element digitally.
Yeah.
I always think, well, I like what I'm hearing, but I need something to hold in my hands and physically place on the turntable. You know, I'm just so old. And also, you know, I was lucky enough to sort of do well in the 90s, and that was such a staggeringly different time that has completely skewed my outlook. That, you know, people who are sort of starting out now, you know, they don't know anything else, so they kind of can start. They don't have that chip on their shoulder, you know. So I kind of did make records at a time when they really were profitable. Unfortunately, I spent all the money on orchestras.
Well, you can spend it on far worse now.
Yeah. And also, you know, record companies would happily give you 40 grand to make a video. Can you imagine? You make a whole album for that if you're, you know, these days.
When we talk, one of the conversations, I suppose, similar generations, is that you'd say the first record you bought, and I think some younger people are going to miss out on that because if they haven't bought it, what is it, the first song you ever downloaded, or legally or illegally? But we always talk about the first record you bought, or what the most important record you bought, when you were young. It's interesting, that's gone a bit, hasn't it, really?
Well, I don't know, you've just suddenly thought, I don't know what happens now. The first music I dialed up on Spotify.
But music, regardless of how it's consumed, or it still has the power to move us. I mean, that's the most important thing. And just even talking about sort of spending, trying to, using studios and sort of making the best sounding product. I've come around to sort of what's more important is capturing moments. It's capturing performance. It's capturing something that delivers an emotional impact. Partly because I just made my recent side project was the Printer Clips, which is a project of very simply recorded duets that I recorded myself with the laptop and 4 mics, and sort of travelled to various places to do that, and that was sort of opened my eyes to that. I never thought that I could sort of control that part of it, and I sort of come around to the idea that it was very empowering to sort of feel like you could. That you don't have to hand the reins over to people to do that for you.
Yeah, I've had to, take on more and more of that stuff as well, and it has actually, by being sort of forced into the engineering role, suddenly you realise, this isn't so hard, and I even know what an EQ is now and stuff like that.
I think that is becoming, and for people starting now, it's become as important as playing an instrument.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't get in the way of a good tune.
Yeah, it's a difference. Increasing your skill set, maybe, or diversifying it a bit. But you were just mentioning there your duets. Both of you have had collaborations in your career. How important do you feel that is as an artist or a songwriter to collaborate?
It's very important. I've always collaborated on some level, be it with the band or with this project with one other person each time. And it for me, it's more than sort of a confidence thing. It's when it clicks, it can be, you create something that's greater than some of its parts. But for a long time, I think I would have struggled to step up and really sort of lead. Whereas within the band, I think I've sort of grown into that position. And it's all I know, really, is collaboration. I don't really know.
Yeah, you wouldn't be a poet McGarrett as such. No. What about you, Nick?
Kind of the opposite. I was such a lone wolf. Growing up, it was just like little guy in his bedroom, working on these, crazy kind of things. And my early records they sound like that, just like it was just me in the studio with some poor engineer who was trying to fathom what I was talking about. And gradually more musicians sort of came in on the scene, and I kind of had to work out how to get them to do what I wanted. And it's taken, I'm still doing it, still trying to work it out. And I never thought I was a collaborator at all. I was just kind of someone who wrote songs and made people do what I wanted. But I look back now and I've done a remarkable amount of collaborations. More because I was very lucky in that people I really admired, I got to work with. And so, I was especially pleased with teaching Tom Jones to sing "All Mine" by Portishead. And he said, "Oh, I haven't tried to sing a song this hard since Bert taught me What's New Pussycat." There's a story I'll tell at a song school. I've been very lucky and done some crazy things. I've done some terrible things with other people as well. I went through a period in the sort of mid part of the last decade trying to write uber pop songs with like pop song writers, like Guy Chambers and people like that. And they were all disasters. And, none of them got taken by anybody because I don't know how to write a standard pop hit. I just don't know what happens. And I always everything went too fast as well. Mm-hmm. And I'd have to excuse myself to the lavatory and sit there trying to pen the perfect couplet. Stop making noise. It's hard for me to be in that environment, I must say.
Is there anyone you'd like to work with then? Is it a logical follow-on?
It's hard because I think the people that I really admire are quite like me, so it'd be terrible, sort of, just like awkward, situations. So, Randy Newman is one of my favourite people, and I can imagine that being a nightmare trying to write with him. Yeah.
He's touring, isn't he?
I hope so. Yeah.
He is. What about you, Paul? Anyone?
I've been lucky to record it very recently with a lot of people that I really admire, like Martha Wainwright and Jones Policewoman, and here with Kathy Davey and
she's all right.
So I spent a while moonlighting as a drummer with various people as well. I've always really enjoyed that. It's the one instrument I'm sort of proficient at. I'm a total chancer on the guitar and the piano. Really, be more of a rhythm as opposed to a lead player.
Do you find that informs your songwriting then? If you're writing, do you, because you both have a lot of experience playing with bands, a lot of people when they're writing at home would write a song and they're playing on guitar and that's as far as they're probably thinking.
Yeah.
But you're writing and you're probably thinking ahead to the production and the parts and the arrangements.
Yeah.
Did that inform a lot of what you do?
Yeah, rhythmically, yeah. I've often found that some drummers don't play to the song; they're all over it. Mm-hmm. And for me, the sort of benchmark for that was always is it Jim Kentler, the dude who played with Elvis? Jim Kentler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played with Elvis and various people at that time, but had an amazing ability to play the song.
Yeah, what I love about I was watching that sort of Kings of Rock and Roll program on BBC 4 last night, and the drumming is so striking in those early rock records because there's so little of it.
Yeah.
It's just somebody tapping something in the background. Literally, that would be it, and everything comes from the song. Yeah. And the brutally bad way in which it's recorded, and that gives it its energy.
Those Motown recordings as well.
Fantastic, like raw.
What's going on? There's some great stuff online. You can download the multi-tracks for songs from that record, and there's often there's two drum kits doing very little, as you say, and it just creates. There's no one trying to sort of force some element to the fore that shouldn't be.
And often in Motown songs, all you can hear in the end is the tambourine.
Have you seen that documentary actually, the Standing on the Shops of the Town? Yeah. Very interesting. And another question we get asked quite a lot is publishing. Would you think it's essential? Often a lot of songwriters at the start of their career feel they need a publishing deal in order to, I don't know why, but often they do, maybe to get their songs heard or to pitch songs. How important do you think a publishing contract or a publishing deal is?
Not at all, in my experience.
No, I mean, I didn't even know what one was until I made a record. And then my record company guy said, well, you'll need a publishing deal. A what? Yeah. So it's a handy way of getting some wedge.
Okay, never a bad thing.
But, it is just like a bank anyway. They give you the money and they take it back off you afterwards. You know, often things come to me through publishers, but it's only because those people have, you know, gone to my publishers. It's not because they've gone out and found it.
Okay, gotcha. So what you mean in terms of artists who want to cover your songs?
Yeah, because supposedly publishers were set up that they would, you know, get your songs in, you know, places.
Pitch them.
Yeah. Never happened in my experience.
But there is that's, you know, since nobody's buying records anymore, that's again one of the new holy grails is the sync, is the big film placement, is the Audi ad, or whatever that. And
my Audi is
again,
13 years old. I need a new one.
There's this sort of unseemly scramble, and you know, prices are coming down because everyone's going, I'll give you a song for nothing. But again, publishers can often promise these things and never really deliver that. And for a while there, we were getting offers to do for booze ads that we always
not to be sniffed at.
Turned down. But we did. We just didn't want to do that. And
take the money.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, you're absolutely right. And I've turned down things as well. But I've very rarely been offered them in the first place. But I can't remember. There definitely have been ones I've turned down. I'm sure I have. I can't remember what they are now. But no, I think that early on, I remember a song of mine called Certainty of Chance being re-recorded to go on a Network Q ad, which was like the people who fixed your car in Britain. And it was such an appalling version they'd made of it that it really started, you know, from now on, well, at least I'm not going to allow them to do their own thing.
And did National Express not come calling?
National Express called every 4 years on the hour, and we, you know, listen to their ideas, and I think, it's just not yet. The problem is that as soon, because the song, you know, had the name of the company in the title, the moment that you put it on the ad for the company, then it is just the company song, and it ceases to be an independent thing. Whereas it was, you know, it was talking about what it's like to be on a bus and the people you saw. It wasn't necessarily just, isn't National Express a fantastic organisation? So, yeah, I've always steered clear, but it is my little nest egg. Let's hope they're still functioning by the time I'm 65. Yeah.
We were talking at the very start there about the National Concert Hall and the artist space upstairs, which is referred to, I think you said.
Kathy dubbed it the writer's block, which I thought was very amusing.
The writer's block. Could you tell us a little bit about what goes on, maybe day to day or week to week? If that's okay.
We're all just hanging out drinking on there. That's all we do.
Well, at the moment there's a lot of sweating because the heat's on, and I can't turn it off.
Yeah, I can't turn mine off. I'm down to my t-shirt.
So there's an image. We're all there in the nude.
Yeah, it's a trade-off, I suppose, for the wonderful.
They're lovely rooms. It's so good of them to have us, you know, making a racket up there, and you know, and also, you know, you come in the morning, and the other morning I heard my favourite John Adams piece being played, being rehearsed, and I just went and stood outside the door for 15 minutes, you know, listening to it. So it has its perks. And also the feeling of going to work in like an institution. I really like it. I feel like I'm in some 50s movie, you know, a civil servant. Cool.
And also our corridor feels like a Victorian smallpox wing or something.
Yeah, like a sanatorium.
Yeah.
There was definitely some songs in there then.
Should have been called the Insanatorium.
Speaking of which, just probably to finish off, is to ask, what are you working on currently, or have you anything in?
Yeah, but as Neil said, it's great. I come to work every day, and there's a lot of staring out the window, but I find if you don't actually go and put yourself in the position to come up with songs, then the songs don't come. I used to have this sort of more romantic silly idea, probably that we were conduits for the gods or something, and they'd come knocking. But no, you do actually have to do a bit of work, it seems. And yeah, so I've written 10 songs this year so far, and so we're itching to get going with the boys from the band really next month, and we'll sort of start a new record.
Okay. Well, good stuff.
Well, my new album is called Conduit for the Gods. I don't know, it just came to me. I've done a lot of weird stuff over the last few years. I did an organ sort of oratorio for the Royal Festival Hall in London, and I did a strange German cancer opera, is the only way I can describe it, which has been seen 3 times and maybe never again. So it's been odds and sods, and then last autumn I went, right, time for a new record. And then it started going all synth pop. I mean, I was just living my dreams, you know. It was total human league. It was brilliant.
I can hear that wafting there.
Yeah, can you hear the... But then, you know, a few months later it started to drift back into reality. And it's almost done. I've got, you know, oodles of songs. So I shall record it properly this summer and hopefully have it out after Christmas.
Very good. You have your guitar. Would you like to do a song?
Yeah.
Maybe a nice way to finish off.
I had a songwriting thing. I lived in Smithfield on the north side for a long time, where there was a homeless man called Rocky, and we befriended him over the years, and he was a sweet, really sweetheart when he wasn't drinking, but total nightmare when he was. And he used to sleep out the lane in the back of the house, and my bedroom faced on the lane. And one morning I woke up and looked out onto where he generally slept on this pallet. And this one morning he'd taken a lady friend. So this is a song called Rocky Took a Lover, and as with most songwriting, there's a certain element of romance injected that probably wasn't there at all. So this is a conversation they may or may not have had. He said, I want to shine in the eye of Orion, but I drove my soul through the black hole. She said, that's a wonderful way to wake me, but you weren't so nice last night. You're such an asshole when you're drunk. And he said, at least I'm okay in the mornings. He said, the 3 wise men came a long way, following that pinhole in the sky. Yeah, that one right there. She said, I don't believe in any old Jesus. If there was a God, then why is my ass the perfect height for kicking? He said, I'll shine for you. He said, I'll burn for you. He said, I'll shine for you. That's what I'll do. He said, they're like headlights in the rearview mirror. They're closer than they seem. And from this gutter, we're still staring at the stars. She said, would you go and shite? 'Cause last night all you did was curse those stars. You said they sang to you of hope. He said, the sun gives light and it takes it away. But like all the greats, it'll burn out someday. She said, I don't mind. I don't want to get bored. I don't want to end up beached on the shore. I want to be that star. I want to be that star. let me be that star. I wanna be that star. 'Cause then I can shine for you, and then I'll burn for you. She said, then you see, then I can shine for you, and that's what I'll do. Yeah, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do.
That was a great way to finish, and a lovely treat from Paul. I'd like to say thank you to Neil and Paul for their time. Thank you also to Kira Cuff and the rest of the staff at the National Concert Hall for making this possible. If you'd like more information on the National Concert Hall, please visit www.nch.ie. If you'd like more information on Song School, please visit www.songschool.ie. There will be song schools running in the National Concert Hall over the summer. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, it's at songschool_IE, or you can find us on Facebook. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed listening to the interview as much as I enjoyed making it. Thanks very much.